The Shadow of the Erdtree has so many twists and turns that it is really easy to get overwhelmed or just lose your way or lose track of what you're supposed to be doing. I'm Bonfire, and these are 6 tips and tricks that I would absolutely recommend you take advantage of in your playthrough. Just like in the base game, there are many spirit springs all over the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. The difference being that many of them are locked. They are locked behind little puzzles. You have to find small stone piles and break them in order to unlock the spirit springs that you can jump up or down with Torrent. Now, a quick quality of life thing here, if you don't want to go hunting for them, even though they're usually pretty easy to find, is if you have Mohg's Shackle or Margit's Shackle, all you need to do is just spam that item and it will actually break the little stone pile for you and allow you to use that spirit spring. In one of my other videos for the base game of Elden Ring, I actually told everyone to just go and kill every merchant that you come across. The reason being, you can get their bell bearings, take them all to the round table hold, and then you will have all of their inventories at your disposal. In the Shadow of the Erdtree, though, I would say do not kill the merchants. You come across a lot of these little brood guys. I'm going to call them Shrimpy boys, but they're essentially servants of rot that all work for more the NPC. Now, some of them look like you cannot interact with them, but if you just heal them, then come back, they will actually give you an item, give you a cookbook. Now, if you kill them, you don't get it, unfortunately. So if you heal them, you can get the item from them, and all is well. Also, if more dies for any reason, they all despawn. So if you're trying to collect all of them in your playthrough, make sure Moore doesn't die or don't finish his storyline yet. It can sometimes be frustrating if you're trying to make your way through a zone or a dungeon or a fort, for example, in Shadow of the Erdtree, and you just can't seem to beat an enemy or get past a certain encounter. Well, my encouragement to you and challenge to you would be to think outside the box and look for another entrance. Now, I know that there's not really a linear way to play this DLC, but many times I've actually found myself entering through a different entrance than the front. Take the Fort of Reprimand, for example. I ended up stumbling across it while just looking for the map for the area and came across a spirit spring that launched me up into the back of the fort, and I actually did it in reverse. So that being said, look around, explore a bit more, and there's usually another way into a zone that you might be trying to find. When the DLC first launched, there was a massive discussion around whether it was too hard. It was hard, but I don't think it was too hard. I think there were some enemies scaled differently than we had expected, and that caught us all off guard. Some people went into this DLC with a build that was wildly overpowered and were confused when they couldn't one-shot a boss or an enemy. Then instead, we were in turn getting one-shot. So, my advice to you, especially if you are early on in the DLC, is defense, defense, defense. That might be weird coming from me if you've watched any of my videos where I just don't ever use shields. I roll around like an idiot, get hit by everything, and die a lot. We all have our talismans that we love. I know I love using talismans that proc off of status effects and give me increased attack power, but early on in the DLC, until I was able to get a higher tree fragment count, I just swapped all of my talismans to defensive ones, and it made a massive difference. I actually made a video of my favorite ones, and I'll put that in the description. You can go click on that and watch it if you're trying to find out where you can get some really, really good defensive talismans early on in your playthrough. This might be a no-brainer to a large portion of you, but status effects are huge in this DLC. Cold is really effective, Bleed is effective, Madness is effective against certain enemies. Those are great options to use in your build, you can usually find a way to fit them in some way, whether it's through a thrown item, whether it's through applying it to your weapon, or just having a weapon with those status effects on them. But using status effects in this DLC is a massive bonus. They are extremely powerful, and there are all new ways to power up those status effects as well. Use them. This might be the simplest one on the list, but it's one that I see get overlooked quite a bit, and that is using the tree fragments. That is leveling yourself up with the new mechanic in the shadow of the Erdtree. Now, I know what you're saying. It's literally the first thing you see, one of the first items you pick up in the DLC, but I've watched a lot of streamers that don't use them, not because they're trying to do some challenge run, but because they don't actually realize that this is how you get stronger in this DLC. Not using them is kind of like doing a soul level or rune level 1 run, a no-hit run, some kind of challenge run. I don't get the mentality behind that. So if you just somehow missed this little detail, use them. I know you can't really see the difference it makes, but it is felt dramatically against bosses, against enemies. Your poise doesn't get broken as easily. You have higher defense. You do more damage, all the things. So use them and don't feel bad about using them. Here's a bonus one, and I know I said I only had 6, but I want to do a bonus tip here, and that is just to play how you want. If you want to make an overpowered build where you just spam Rivers of Blood over and over and over again in a boss fight or against enemies, go for it. I got no issue with it. It's a game. Play how you want. It's supposed to be fun. We play these games because they're challenging, and some people play these games as well to just feel completely overpowered and dominate everything around you. And if that's what you like to do, do it. If you want to summon in companions, you want to summon in NPCs, make the most busted Mimic tier build you can possibly think of, do it. I'm currently actually doing the opposite and trying to see if I can make the worst build possible and just use the Mimic tier to kill Bale. It's proven to be pretty difficult, and I can only get him to 50%, so I'm trying to make a bad build with a bad weapon that can kill Bale. That to me is kind of fun, but I don't recommend that kind of psychopathic behavior to the rest of you. But like I said, play how you want. This is a game. It's awesome. It's fun. Do whatever you want. So there you go. There are 6 tips and tricks with a little bonus one thrown in there for you to hopefully make your playthrough of the Shadow of the Erdtree go more smoothly, be a little easier or more challenging depending on how you choose to play, but I hope it helps. If you have anything else I should add to this video or in the next video I make, be sure to let me know in the comments, because I always want to make videos that can help or just entertain all of you. But if you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe, because I'm always uploading tips, tricks, Elden rants, and videos of me trying to kill Bale with my Mimic tier using the worst weapon imaginable. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Peace.